In terms of the having an emotional connection with your golf clubs, it really depends on the golfer. Some players just want the fitter to put what's going to perform best in their hands. They don't really care about anything else, and I understand that. Other golfers, they do care about look, sound, and feel. That is important to them, and I think as you're fitting someone, doing the mechanical things is right in terms of getting the length and lie and loft, things like that are measured is important. But you can really surprise and delight a golfer when you can tick off all the boxes like, okay, yeah, it helps me hit the ball better. It looks better. It feels better. It sounds better. Oh man, I really have a lot of confidence when I put that down. I really like the way the face looks. Hey, I just like the way it looks sitting in my bag. It's cool. The more of those boxes you can check, the more satisfied that golfer is going to be when he walks away. So to me, that's the emotional connection. If you can hit that box too, then you're really doing things right.
Golf Smarter number 744 is brought to you by DraftKings. The PGA Tour is back, and so is your free shot at a $1 million top prize. Download the DraftKings app and use promo code GolfSmarter now, and stay tuned for details. This episode is also brought to you by Cryo-Free CBD Pain Relief Roll-On by Omax Health. Get 20% off Pain Relief Roll-On and free shipping with Golf Smarter at checkout at omaxhealth.com. Golf industry veteran Chris McGinley from Honma Golf has created the Swing-A-Line training tool.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Chris.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you on. You look nice and healthy. I'm looking at you here. I hope things are going well for you and your family as we're kind of stuck inside for a while and everybody's healthy, I hope.
It is. It's been interesting. I think like everybody else, kind of adapting and figuring out, your schedule and how you're going to be productive. But, parts of it are enjoyable too. So it's been nice working from home, and I'm starting to go back into the Honma office now, which is good. So things are kind of getting back to normal, whatever that is.
Well, listen, you said the word productive, and looking at what you do, there's probably not a lot of people who are as productive as you are. You're a very busy man.
I have been. Yeah. Before I took the job with Honma Golf doing their global product line, I had started a company, a swing training company called Swing-A-Line. And so that was keeping me busy. And then the Honma opportunity came along, and I couldn't say no to that because I love equipment, and particularly the product creation side of equipment. And so, I've been doing a little of both since then.
Just a little of both. Wow, so interesting. Well, let's talk about. We're gonna get into Swing-A-Line because I'm fascinated by it. But I want to talk about Honma Sports, the Honma golf products to start. It's not one of the major brands that use, I guess you don't advertise as much as the Titleist and Callaway companies. But you have is it a select audience for the product?
Yeah, it's certainly not a major brand from a Western audience point of view. It's actually a 60-year-old brand. So it was founded in 1959. They've been making golf clubs a lot longer than some of the bigger brands here, almost all the bigger brands here. And but not as big a footprint in the U.S. and the Western markets. And that's something they'd like to change, and that's one of the reasons why I'm part of the company.
And before you went to Honma, you were with Titleist for a long time, correct?
I was 21 years at Titleist. As VP of marketing across all the club categories. So I got to see and work with a lot of great things there. So that was a lot of fun.
So you are a gear geek.
I am. I've been in the industry 30 years, and it's almost all revolved around golf equipment. So I am definitely a gear geek.
What do people get wrong about equipment?
Lots of things. I think, equipment's become more sophisticated. There's a lot of technology out there. Some of that technology is expensive. And I think people make the assumption that, they're either not good enough to get fit for equipment or pay attention to certain things, or they're not consistent enough. And that's just not true. So if you're going to invest in some new equipment, it's good to either be formally fit, that would be the best way to go, or certainly at least talk to someone that's knowledgeable about it and can, relate that equipment to your game. I mean, equipment's expensive. You're probably only going to buy a new piece of equipment every 3 to 5 years now,
maybe more.
Maybe more, and you want to get it right. So I think the biggest mistake they make is to, maybe believe some of the superficial things they hear and not dive in deep enough to really make sure that equipment is right for them.
What kind of superficial things are you referring to?
Well, I mean, I think most of the manufacturers out there, Honma included to a degree, make certain claims about distance. If you were able to believe all those claims, you'd be 50 yards longer now than you were 10 years ago. So,
right.
I think it's important to really evaluate what you need, have someone help you with that process, and if you're going to make that investment, really make sure you've made a good investment. Something that's going to work for you. Not just mechanically, it's going to help your game in terms of your ball striking, but I think emotional connection to your equipment. I'm a big believer in that. You have to like what you see at the end of the shaft. You have to like what you feel. I think it's important to get both those things right. I think equipment, like I said, there's a lot of technology out there. Some of that technology comes off as kind of cold and indifferent and industrial. And I think things like looks and sound and feel are also important. So you can feel good about what you're playing. You can feel good about what you're hitting, and it works for you.
Yeah. So you mentioned 3 to 5 years with equipment. If it's working for you, is it okay for it to last longer as long as you keep, replacing the grips and the shafts? Or you really think that everyone needs to rotate around for that amount of time, 3 to 5 years?
I think it depends on the golfer. It depends on how much of a gear geek you are. There's always new stuff coming out. There's always new technology. I think, you don't necessarily have to buy every cycle that comes out. And,
No.
we spent recently in the golf industry, there's been product coming out every year. So I think we've settled a little bit more on 2-year life cycles, which is good. But if you go a couple cycles, you can count on the equipment and the technology getting better. It's a little bit slower march than it used to be. It's not. Sure. It's difficult to get huge gains out of your equipment because the ruling bodies do a pretty good job of regulating that.
Right. I mean, you can only go so far in your development of clubs, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of fences up, so we have to, play within those fences, if you will. But equipment keeps moving forward. There's advances in materials, construction, different technologies, how clubs are fit, how clubs are made, and like I said, if you wait a few years, that typically catches up, and you're definitely gonna find some improvement. At Titleist, we used to say when I worked there, we saw the best players in the world on a regular basis, weekly, if you will, either out on tour or at the Titleist Performance Institute. And when someone would come in, even a tour player you would think would be fully optimized, we always thought, there's probably a couple clubs in at that 14 that he carries that we can find something better. And almost every time we could.
Wow. That's interesting. Let's talk about getting fitted and the importance of getting fitted, because I think a lot of people think that, well, I want to get consistent first and then I'll get fitted. And I just don't know if you're going to get which is the chicken and which is the egg on this. Can you help me with that? And
sure.
Why
I think
is so important?
Yeah, I mean, you can get fitted anytime because a good fitter wants to see your bad shots, not just your good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to see the ugliness, if you will. He wants to see where your issues are. He wants to see the misses. So I think that's an important part of it. So everyone is consistent enough over a fitting session to hit some good shots that gives that fitter the data they need to do something with you. So there shouldn't be really any thinking along the lines, well, I don't hit it consistently enough. You can ask any golfer and they all want to hit it more consistently.
Sure.
So,
and they all want to hit it longer, right? Longer and consistent. But unless you're swinging like Iron Byron, how consistent and how perfect is your swing going to be? but as you just said, I love this, consistent within the fitting.
Consistent within the fitting. And, you can say to the fitter, I didn't hit that very good. And that will register with him. And he'll decide, say, if he's taking data on a launch monitor or some data collection device, he'll throw that shot out and he won't use it. But there's always enough data there. There's always enough evidence, of what you're doing, whether it's in data that they're collecting or the ball flight that the fitter's watching, or the way the club's going to the ground, or the sound it makes. There's a lot of ways to find the right signs that you need as a fitter to help make someone better.
And what about, you said, the emotional connection when you're looking at clubs? Now, say you're at a fitting and the club fitter is putting you in Honma and a Titleist and a Callaway and TaylorMade, let's say, and you're hitting the Honma better than the other ones. You're getting a little more distance and your dispersion is much tighter than the other ones. You just like the look of the way the big white TaylorMades look staring at you, right? So how important, we know how important confidence is, but the emotional part of looking down at your clubs, go into that a little more for me, please.
In terms of having an emotional connection with your golf clubs, it really depends on the golfer. I think, some players just want the fitter to put what's going to perform best in their hands. They don't really care about anything else. And I understand that. Other golfers, they do care about look, sound, and feel. That is important to them. And I think as you're fitting someone, doing the mechanical things is right in terms of getting the length and lie and loft and the things like that that are measured is important. But you can really surprise and delight a golfer when you can tick off all the boxes like, okay, yeah, it helps me hit the ball better. It looks better. It feels better. It sounds better. Oh man, I really have a lot of confidence when I put that down. I really like the way the face looks. Hey, I just like the way it looks sitting in my bag. It's cool. If you can, the more of those boxes you can check, the more satisfied that golfer is going to be when he walks away. So to me, that's the emotional connection. If you can hit that box too, then you're really doing things right.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to talk more about the Honma product line, and we'll definitely get into Swing-A-Line, but let's take a quick time out. We're talking to Chris McGinley at Honma and Swing-A-Line, and we'll be back right after this. The PGA is back. That's right. We have a full weekend of golf ahead of us, and even though the trophy is reserved for the winner, the big cash prizes don't have to be. To add to the excitement, DraftKings, the official daily fantasy game of the PGA Tour, is putting you in the center of the action with a free shot at a $1 million prize with your first deposit. It's easy to play. Just pick 6 golfers, stay under the salary cap, and submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday of this week. Then sit back and follow the action. The more red numbers they have on the leaderboard, the closer you'll be to winning. Rack up points for pars, birdies, finishing positions, and more. It doesn't get any closer to a major than this, with all the heavy hitters taking the course and a $1 million up for grabs at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code GolfSmarter, one word, GolfSmarter, to get a free shot at a $1 million top prize with your first deposit. That's promo code GolfSmarter to get a free shot at $1 million with your first deposit only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25-time playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Want to get back to one thing that you said just before then, and that was feel and sound. The sound is really something that most golfers don't think about, but boy, you know what it sounds like when you hit the ball cleanly, right? And does that play into the purchase?
You sure do. And that's particularly important when you're fitting golfers at the highest level of the game. The better the golfer, the more critical that becomes. At the tour, it's really critical. But for some golfers, sound is feel, and for some feel is sound. And, it depends on how it works. But, feel can be tactile, how the vibration travels up the club and hits your hands. And what do you feel? Does it feel solid? Does it feel kind of clanky? Some golfers have a better ear than others. Does it sound hollow? Does it sound tinny? Does it sound solid? Does it sound loud enough? Does it sound too loud? Again, if you can get those things right, the better. And you made an interesting point. You can feel when you hit a shot. So that's really important in any club where there's turf interaction. So a driver, you're hitting off a tee. There's not really turf interaction. Different experience when you put the ball off the ground and you have to hit the little ball before the big ball, and it has to feel good. The club has to go through the turf, right? It can't twist. You don't want to hit it too fat. You don't want to hit it too thin. So there's a lot of aspects to that. There's the auditory sound and feel. There's the sound and feel as it goes through the turf and what that's like. So there's just so many aspects. And like I said, you get a really good fitter working with you and he checks all those boxes, you're going to go away confident.
Yeah, and you talk about the feel. You could just feel it right down the middle of your spine and your chest. You could you just know. It just brings a smile to your face. And, because the focus here on Golf Smarter is we talk to amateur golfers. We're not talking to the touring pros, and we're definitely, the single-digit handicap. We love having them along. But really, a lot of people who are beginning golfers, mid to upper handicaps, when you say hit big ball and little ball, let's just define that we're talking about hitting the golf ball before you hit the earth.
Correct?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got that right.
Yeah, you want to hit the little ball first, so then the big ball second.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Honma product line and who it's directed for, and why we should be walking into our club fitter going, I want to look at Honma today.
I think Honma is, like I said, a 60-year-old brand founded on the principles of craftsmanship. And the Japanese have unbelievable sensibilities when it comes to design and looks and feel. And Honma was a leader in persimmon woods back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, hand shaping persimmon woods. Those skills have carried over to modern day. So one of the things the Honma equipment is it's really beautiful. We call it beautifully crafted performance. And there's a reason we say it that way. So it starts with beauty and it ends with performance. And really what ties those two things together is the craftsmanship. So beautifully crafted performance. We care about, that start to finish equation. And what attracted me to the brand was the way they did things. I worked at Honma or at Titleist, for 21 years. And back in the early days, we had a lot of craftsmen. I mean, Scotty Cameron, Bob Vokey, other guys, Terry McCabe, Larry Bobka, guys that made clubs. That was their life. They knew how to build a golf club. They knew how to hand make a prototype. And those skills were really cool to watch. We could literally hand make anything. And the Honma guys are very much like that. They have craftsmen that they call takumi. And that means master craftsman in Japanese. So we have like 23 takumi in our plant that have been working the same job or trade for decades. Some of them in excess of 30 years. We have one guy who's been polishing golf clubs for 30 years. He's got his own polishing wheel. He gets in his little squat and he's got this enormous muscle in the back of his head from being in that squat for 30 years polishing golf clubs. It's really something to see. We have a guy who's an expert at bending golf clubs. We have a guy that's an expert at painting golf clubs. So we do a lot of hand shaping. And one of the cool things about Honma, one of the traditions that's carried over, is they still shape all their metal woods out of persimmon block. So they get persimmon blocks from the US, they ship them to Japan. The takumi handcrafts the shape of a metal wood, which is then scanned into the CAD environment and engineered from there. But it starts with the hand skills. It starts with the eye, the look, the feel, the touch of a takumi. And they literally can detect by, passing their hand over their work, their grinding work, their sanding work that they've done, a millimeter of difference. It's really pretty cool. So, and we think, ultimately, if you're one of those people that really wants to look at something nice, you should care about that stuff. So we like the way we do things in that regard.
It's wonderful. And do you, are the irons, you make the full complement, irons, fairway woods, wedges?
We do.
Rescue club? No, I don't want to call it a rescue. A hybrid club. Sorry.
Six categories if you think about it: driver, fairway, hybrid, iron, wedge, putter. Those are the 6 equipment categories, and we make them all.
Wow. Wow. And are you doing it for the better players, or do you also make for mid and high handicap players?
Well, Honma's history is steep in better players. They used to be the traditional forged blade and persimmon driver back in the day. Their recent history is they've made, super premium, really expensive, super game improvement product for basically a high-end Asian market. That's really what's turned the brand around recently. They were, a decade ago near bankrupt, and they were bought by a Chinese businessman who's a golf enthusiast and loved everything about the Japanese golf market and the way they made clubs. He really relied on the craftsmanship and the tradition Honma had to make the most premium golf clubs in the world. And we still do that. We have sets of irons and complete sets of clubs that range between $30,000 and $50,000.
What?
They have precious metals, gold plating on them, platinum plating, gold powder in the paint that's on the crown of the metal wood, really exotic materials in the shafts. So Honma's got the super premium category covered. What they wanted to do was grow in what we call the premium performance category. That's players that are probably a little more performance forward. They want performance first, and more of the Western style golfer. So that's one of the reasons why they put a new team together in the U.S. market, including myself, to try to advance in that market with that type of product that would compete against, the big 4, Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist, and Ping.
And would you advertise in the same places as them? Because they won't always go in for the high-end market, the expensive market, right?
Yeah, in the high-end market, Honma really has very little competition. There's a few brands that make the super high-end stuff. Yeah. In the premium performance market, it's highly competitive. So, we know that's a tough road for us. And we like to try to find that golfer that, like I said earlier, can be, delighted by finding a golf club that checks a lot of boxes for him. Look, sound, feel, performance. That's really our angle, to try to compete with the big guys. The big companies are great. They're making fantastic product. I worked for 2 decades for one of them.
Right.
And I can tell you how good the product is. It's very good. So we have to find a unique way to compete. And I think, there are people that are looking for something different, particularly high-end golfers. I think PXG did a nice job coming in and shaking up the market a little bit. While Honma is a premium brand, it's not like PXG in any way, but that's a worthwhile parallel. We have to find that guy that's okay. I've tried the big 4 brands. I've been with the same brand for a while. I'm really looking for something different. I can really appreciate the sense of craftsmanship, the work that the Takumi do on a golf club to make it something special. And that's really the golfer we're looking for.
And is the, even if it's a 12, 13, 14 handicap, but they've got the money to spend, is that also an important factor? It's like, I paid a lot of money for these clubs, so it's definitely going to help my game. Is that a psychological thing for them, or just an ego thing?
I think we talked a little bit about emotion and the emotion of a purchase. The super premium stuff that I told you about, that's definitely an emotional purchase. Like, you're purchasing that to make a statement, right? Of course, you want it to work and perform. Other golfers are a little bit more practical, so they're looking for value. And I think when you can find value in a number of areas on a golf club, that's really what we're trying to do. So it's not just all about technology. I think a lot of the big 4 brands, the perception out there is it's just technology for technology's sake. You keep lumping all this technology on and talking about all this technology. And at some point, golfers kind of tune out on that. It's like, oh my gosh, how much further can I hit it? Yeah. So we're just trying to take a little bit more, we call it holistic design, a little more holistic approach. We do some unique things like hand shape our product before we engineer it. We make our own shafts in our own factory in Japan at the same time and with the same team that makes the clubs. That's pretty unique in the industry. Most of the manufacturers these days are basically head designers, and then they go to a shaft company and they buy shafts to put in those heads. Mm-hmm. Honma is one of the few companies that sort of from the ground up, we produce both the head and the shaft. And we try to engineer them holistically so that they work together and complement each other. I think that's just another nice little wrinkle and a nice benefit of having a 60-year-old brand that has really done everything in its history.
So you guys are really focused and love those guys who they have a membership at Pine Valley, they have a membership at Augusta, they have a membership out in Monterey, they got a couple down in Carlsbad, and they bounce from course to course carrying that. Oh, they probably have a set of Honma at every one of those courses sitting there waiting for them.
That'd be nice. We love guys like that. Every brand loves guys like that.
Yes,
the guys that, they've got their winter club and their summer club. And,
right.
And it's nice when you can find guys like that. But no, we're definitely, we definitely welcome the everyman too, the everyday guy. So our stuff is a little bit more premium, but really not much more premium than the big four brands. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the differentiators is, again, we make our shafts in Japan. A lot of the shafts that the OEMs use are not made in Japan.
Right.
Typically, the shaft companies that make product in Japan, you pay a premium for that. If you bought a Fujikura or a Mitsubishi shaft that was made in Japan, it would be a considerable upcharge or upgrade. The way we do it is you get that kind of shaft stock standard, and that's what comes. So you don't really need to upgrade. So it depends. A lot of people go into a high-end fitting environment and they find a shaft that really works, and it may be an upgraded shaft. So instead of buying a $500 or $600 driver, they're walking out the door at $700 or $800. So Honma, for instance, the new TR20 drivers we just launched are $650 with that made in Japan upgraded shaft. So the value depends on how you look at it. We like to think we're driving really great value because of that.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. But you had even mentioned the other golfers who we are, and we're going to talk about how we can help them right after this. This episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by CryoFreeze by Omax Health. And living with golf pain is awful. Living with any pain is awful. And if you've been sheltering in place for months like the rest of us, then you may have aches and pains from exercises that you're new to, and you may have aches and pains from the lack of exercise, or maybe you're just starting to get back on the golf course. You're definitely going to feel that after being idle for a couple months. Well, that's why I want to introduce you to the folks at Omax Health. If you're looking to get rid of nagging muscle pain and joint pain immediately while providing long-lasting recovery, then you need to try the natural breakthrough pain relief solution, CryoFreeze CBD Roll-On, developed by Omax Health. This is non-prescription. It's triple-action pain relief roll-on, and it's specifically formulated to block pain receptors, reduce inflammation, and improve muscle and joint flexibility. And the best part is that it's 100% natural, CBD-powered remedy. It works magic within 10 minutes of application, and the relief can last up to 8 hours, much longer than any over-the-counter products. Omax Health is offering Golf Smarter listeners 20% off a full bottle of CryoFreeze CBD Pain Relief Roll-On, plus free shipping. The discount also applies towards any product they have on their website. Just go to omaxhealth.com today and enter the code GolfSmarter. That's OMAX, omaxhealth.com, and enter code GolfSmarter to get 20% off a CryoFreeze and site-wide. Chris, I really appreciate your time today, and I'm very excited to hear more about Swing-A-Line, because I personally have never been a huge fan of swing aids, but in reading about what you guys have developed and what you have put out to market and the videos, how it explains it, I'm fascinated. I actually just watched a video of myself the other day, and I happened to be taking some video, and I ended up tying my all-time low score ever. And then when I was looking at some video, I'm like, what am I doing? How did I even hit the ball doing that? because my arms were rolling over as opposed to going straight back. And then watching the video from Swing a Line, I'm like, okay, I need to take care of this right now. So what are the issues that were in the forefront to develop this swing aid?
I think what we were looking at, Fred, was just so many golfers struggle with the basics. And even players at the highest level of the game. So it really starts with the ability to even just line up your shot.
Right.
The nice thing is, regardless of what handicap you have, you should be able to align squarely to the ball and to your target. Regardless of level, you should be able to do that as good as any tour player does. But it's a difficult thing because you can't really see yourself. You almost need an instructor or your buddy to tell you, hey, your shoulders are way open, or your upper body's not aligned with your lower body. And if you're trying to hit the ball over there, you're really pointed in the opposite direction. And golfers don't see that. You stand to the side of the ball. You have to turn your head to look down at your target line. Makes it pretty challenging to get lined up. So the first part of this training aid swing line is the alignment part. Once the swing starts, there's other basics like being able to rotate your body, fully to store energy and create power. There's swing plane. And then there's something that's called connection, which is keeping your arms and body synchronized. So many golfers you see just swing with their arms, or you just can tell by looking at their tempo or their motion that their lower body, their sternum, their upper body, their arms aren't coordinated. They're not synchronized. So, we say alignment, rotation, swing plane, connection. The four fundamentals, and Swing Line really does all those, and it does it in a pretty interesting manner. It's a wearable device. It's basically a big, bright alignment rod that you wear across your chest. So there's the visual aspect. And, once you work with this thing, it stays with you. Even though you're not wearing it anymore, when you get to the golf course, you remember that visual feeling, if you will. And then because it's a physical device that you wear, onto that alignment rod, we slide 2 arm cuffs. The arm cuffs are connected by a stretchy cord. That stretchy cord helps you coordinate your arms and your body and keep them synchronized. So that's more muscle memory. So you get visual memory, you get muscle memory. It helps with the static parts of the game like alignment. It helps with the dynamic parts of the game like rotation and swing timing and connection. So it's really a pretty cool, versatile device. One of the most versatile swing trainers that's out there in the market.
How was it developed?
It was actually concepted by a guy named Alan Strand. And Alan started the Dandy Putter Company, a little-known putter company that had its moment in the sun, 15, 20 years ago. Vijay Singh actually used the Dandy putter to win the Masters one year. They had guys like Dr. Gil Morgan and Ernie Els, and so they had some big names using a Dandy putter. But, because the equipment company is tough on small businesses, it never really succeeded. So, but Alan also had a fascination he was an inventor. He designed this putter. He was also a concert level musician on the piano.
Wow.
He was a putting stroke coach on the tour, and he loved the golf swing. He was fascinated by the golf swing. So all those things, really led him to, have this passion for the golf swing. And he thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. I'm struggling myself as a golfer. How can I do this? And he literally took some sticks and lashed them together with a bungee cord. And that was the genesis for the device. Now, unfortunately, after Alan had that aha moment, he got cancer and passed away.
Oh my, I'm sorry.
And I came across his brother after I had left Titleist, and his brother said, "Hey, I've got this concept. What do you think?" And I fell in love with it. And he said, "I need some help engineering this and getting it across the finish line." So based on my experience, we hired a CAD designer. We CAD'd everything out. We printed 3D prototypes. We made sure, the device worked and fit the way we wanted it to, because when you got a wearable device, you got to make sure of a few things, that it's comfortable and it's sized right. So we spent a lot of time doing that and, creating a really solid, well-engineered device that found its way to market last year.
Does video help? Taking video of your swing while you're using the swing line, does that help you identify where your issues are?
That's a very interesting point. That combination can be exceptionally powerful. So if you use a swing analysis program, say like V1 Sports, where you can collect video data and then, draw on your video with lines and, put some visual indicators there that kind of watch as you swing. So the combination of swing line, because you've already got basically a line on your body in the alignment rod that you're swinging, that's very helpful. But you don't have to do it that way. The nice thing is you can recognize yourself if you're set up square. You can recognize yourself if you've rotated 90 degrees. You can recognize yourself what your swing plane is like at the top of your backswing just by looking at the alignment rod. So it helps you, if not make some self-corrections, it helps you have some self-awareness of what you're doing so that you don't have to have someone standing there watching you or someone taking a video of you. You can pick up some things on your own, which is, I think, really what makes the device very powerful.
Oh, I think what makes it very powerful is the word you just used was awareness. I've talked to many golf instructors on the show who talk about awareness and knowing where you are in your swing and getting that feel. And I've been doing these interviews I'm in my 15th year of doing this, and it probably took me at least 10 years to understand that, let alone identify it and capture it in my moment, see where I am. Not saying I'm there yet, but I'm a lot farther along than when I started. This offers so many different elements. Starting with your alignment itself, which so many people don't stand behind the ball to try to give themselves the tools to align it. They just walk up to the ball and look over their shoulder and think they're aligned.
Yeah. I mean, we see many, many golfers that struggle, to point in the right direction at their target, but even more that struggle with getting their upper body and lower body aligned. So when you're wearing this device, what we like to say is it makes alignment as easy as looking down. You literally can look down at the alignment rod across your chest. If you have a ground-based alignment rod down there too, it's like bang. Instantly, are your shoulders open or closed relative to your stance line? In most cases, unless you're trying to hit a specialty shot and curve the ball, that's what you want. You want everything aligned square. That gives you the best chance to make the best golf swing. And so that's very powerful. But you bring up an interesting point. You hear a lot of top instructors always talk about the difference between feel and real. Most golfers don't have any awareness of what they're doing. So what they feel, it ain't real. Like, they're not really doing that. They'll tell you they're doing it all day. Right. When you get them on video, it's like, oh, wow, I'm really not doing that. So yeah. This device helps kind of narrow that gap between feel and real.
Actually, in watching the videos, connection was not a concept that I've discussed a lot, and would love to go deeper into that and what the swing align can do to bring connection together.
Well, you hear it described different ways. Like the top instructors will call it the swing sequence, the kinematic sequence. If you're out of sequence, that's bad. Layman golfers struggle with things like a flying elbow or a chicken wing. Sometimes hear it called. So your elbows fly away from your body, your arms get wild, you're out of sync. You come over the top, you hit a slice, you hit it fat. I think that's a real struggle for golfers. So if you can keep your arms connected and close to your body without them flying away, particularly your elbows, and this device really makes it almost impossible for that to happen because it's literally worn just above your elbows and it's holding them together. So you have to use your body to rotate with this device. And if you don't, you'll not only feel that, but you'll see it visually with the alignment rod. Mm-hmm. So, some golfers, it just looks so easy. You wonder how they do it. Their tempo's so good. Well, really what's going on is because they're well connected, it looks like their tempo's so good. Because everything is moving as a unit. You're using your bigger muscles to move your smaller muscles. And that arm-body connection is really an important part of learning to become a good ball striker.
Right. And what kind of impact does this have on tempo, the swing line?
It doesn't really fundamentally change your tempo. Like if you're a relatively fast golfer, you can use it, or if you have a slower tempo, it works either case. Great. I think it smooths out your tempo. I think the more you get disconnected, let's say, and your arms do fly away from your body, and let's say your body moves forward through the swing too quickly, it then has to wait for your arms and hands to catch up in order for you to square the club on the ball. So I think you see it manifest itself in your golf swing will start to look smoother start to finish. It won't be so disconnected or discombobulated. You can still swing fast or slow depending on, what works for you. And another thing we say on the equipment side is the golfer's really just a timing device. So you got to figure out what that golfer's sense of timing is to fit them with the right equipment. Well, timing obviously is very important with the swing too.
Fabulous. So interesting. Just curious. This is a fun question of mine. I like to ask people about their pet peeves, whether it's on the golf course, but I'm curious to ask you, what are your pet peeves from golf consumers, golf club shoppers?
I think I would say my biggest pet peeve, having been an industry guy for 30 years, is just all the, self-proclaimed experts out there. There's a lot of golfers that think they really know what's going down, or, what kind of equipment they should buy, what kind of swing they should make, that, really would benefit from checking their ego at the door and getting some help. That's one of the interesting things about being in the swing training segment is this is a wearable device. A lot of golfers wouldn't be caught dead in that. They've got too much pride. If you can set that aside and really see the value and how it helps you, I think that's, to me, that's a kind of a pet peeve of mine because it directly affects the swing line business. But the good thing about our device is you can use it at home or you can use it on the range. You don't have to hit balls with it, but you can. You can hit any golf shot from a drive to a putt while you're wearing it.
Which is great because so many of the swing aids that have come out, it's like you can't, don't hit a ball with this. You're gonna ruin it.
Or don't use your own clubs because the device itself is a club. So this device is you make your own swing, you use your own clubs, you hit balls if you want or not, and it helps you get better.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate your time, and tell people how they can get more from Swing-A-Line and where they can go to find it. And if you want to plug Honma one more time, I don't have a problem with that either.
Great. Thank you. HonmaGolf.com if you want to see some really unique and interesting equipment that's different from what you're seeing from the big guys. And then swingtrainer.com is where you find Swing-A-Line. Yeah.
Swing-Trainer was available?
When we got that URL, I kind of felt like it was the universe telling me to launch this product. So it's such a great website. So swingtrainer.com, we've got the devices. We've got some great instruction content there from a guy named Devin Bonebreak, who's one of the top young instructors in the industry right now. So a lot of videos, a lot of good stuff there. Obviously, we'd love you to go on there and buy a device, but there's some good content on there you can check out as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been great, and I look forward to trying it out and hopefully talking again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for having me on.
So I've been having conversations with the people that put me in touch with Chris, and had a conversation with Chris after we recorded the interview. And I'm really happy that they agreed to this. Our next giveaway is going to be a Swing-A-Line. I'm so happy because this is the kind of product that it may have connected with you in his conversation. Think about keeping your arms and body synchronized when rotating. A great way to do it. But not only are we going to give one away, and I'll announce the winner of our most recent giveaway in a moment, but if you feel like, yeah, I'd like to win one of these, but I really need one, then go ahead to swingtrainer.com and take advantage of the 15% discount with a coupon code or the checkout code golfsmarter they're going to include the entire device bundle, which is valued at $150, and you get 15% off. They also have great videos on their website on how to get the most from your Swing-A-Line. And if you should check out golfsmarter.com, because on our blog post, I do a blog post for every episode, I'm adding videos now, and we'll have a Swing-A-Line video to today's blog post, today's episode's blog post. The Swing-A-Line aids in better form, solid contact, more control. Calling you, right? Go ahead and go to golfsmarter.com, click on the Enter Now banner at the top of the page, and we're going to announce our next winner, which will be a Swing-A-Line. And your deadline for entry is Sunday, June 21, 2020, midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern. The first day of summer. Yeah. All right, now what about our winner for this week? That is Golf Logics. Thanks, Pete Charleston, for giving us the opportunity to share a Golf Logics Plus membership that's 12 months long. And the person who wins by random drawing is T.C. Moore of Kansas City, Missouri. And T.C., you're also going to get to choose a Yardage Book Green Guide, which I have one right here. The Green Book and Yardage Guide from Golf Logics, and I'll tell you a story about it in just a minute, but you're going to get both of those. So in Kansas City, you might want to play Shoal Creek Golf Course, Royal Meadows, maybe even Teetering Rocks. Well, it doesn't matter. It's your choice. You can pick any course you want, and even if you're planning on going somewhere and you're going to play a course you've never played, then you can get that Green Book, and you can order a Green Book as well for any course that you want. So congratulations, TC. I will email you and Pete. I'll copy him on it, and he'll take care of the course that you want to get, and I'll email you the information on how to get your membership plus for Golf Logics, a great app. And so it's funny. I'm a little wiped out today. I was up till 3:30 this morning working on a project. I'm on deadline, so I'm rambling, and I apologize for it. But I have so much to share with you right now. So I was looking through some videos online. I've been obsessed with YouTube lately, and I found this video about these guys talking about the correct position of the tee height, and how it impacts your drives. And so I was fascinated by this because I've always been very methodical about how I place my tee, but am I doing it the right place? I'm not really sure. And so I figured, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my phone, and run video of me putting down the various tees and showing the distance, the height of them, and where my driver sits in relation to where I'm putting the tee. So I went through that process just for my own edification of, I just want to see what the different heights are. And then I went out and played and had a great round. Am I exaggerating? No, I'm not, because this is the lowest score I've ever shot. There's a video on Golf Smarter TV that I recap and talking about this. I was playing a Peacock Gap, which I've been playing for years and years, and have struggled with it sometimes. Sometimes it's tough for me to break 90 there. It's a par 71, and pretty much everything I was doing was going right. It's just one of those rare days, but I've been playing a lot like this lately because I've been practicing. You probably know that I have this putting green in my backyard, and it allows me to also do a bunch of chipping. And now that my puppy, who's 19, 20 months old now, she loves to chase balls. She's, part retriever. And she loves it when I chip because she wants to catch the ball in the air. I've punched her in the nose with the ball multiple times, and she loves it. No teeth have fallen out yet, luckily. No abuse here. She just wants to do this. So I'm trying to chip little short chips, and my feel is getting so much better. And the reason I'm talking about this is what happened on this round that I was having. 14th hole. It's par 5. It's not a long par 5. I have reached it in 2 before, but this time I hit my drive, and it kind of goes hard left, not hard left. I pulled it. Okay. And this is not a hole to be doing that because there's there's a bunker in the middle of the fairway, but there's a big tree right in front of that bunker, and I went to the left of the tree, so it ended up in the really tall grass just on the other side of the cart path. I found the ball, took out a hybrid, trying to just get it back into the fairway, and it barely did. It kind of dribbled up past the junk, crossed over the cart path, and left me about a 210-yard shot for my third shot, which I was hoping would be my second, but it was my third shot, about 210, which is my 3-wood distance. I feel good about that. So I went, and again, it went a little bit left, but this time I made it past, the pin was in the back of the green, and the ball was about 8 yards off the green, behind the pin, but to the left of it. Right? A little bit farther than the pin, but on the left side. And as I'm walking up to the ball, and it's in some rough, and I said, out loud, I said to myself, all right, Moxie, and that's the name of my dog. All right, Moxie, this is the shot we've been practicing. And so this chip, about 8 or 9 yards onto the green, I figured out where I wanted to land and let it roll, and the cups are sticking out. Anyway, I made it for birdie. So I had a terrible drive, had a poor second shot. My third shot went wide, and I still birdied the hole. Golf is so crazy like that, right? And it just kind of did that the whole round. So on the front 9, I was 2 over. And on the back 9, I was 1 under. And for this par 71, I shot a 72. That is my all-time low score. Now, a couple weeks ago when we had Josh Zander on, I told him about this friend that I play, and that I've got 5 strokes on him after front, and then we barely, we're tied going into the 18th hole. And he said, just think that you're going to beat him by 10 strokes, right? Just get this killer mentality in your head. I don't know if he said that in the episode or if he said this just to me. And so I've taken that attitude of like, I can do this. And my last 5 rounds have dropped my index down. Helped me drop my index down to an 8.7. My last 5 rounds, I went 75, 81, 74, 79, 72. I never thought that I'd be that kind of golfer. I never, especially when I started this podcast, my goal was not to become a single-digit handicap golfer. But I've learned so much from this podcast and from the people that have been on. And I hope you have too. I receive emails from a lot of you saying that you have learned a lot. It's helped your game. It's changed your game. It's changed the way you look at the game. And I'm so grateful that you let me know that happens, because there's days I go, I can't do this show anymore. And then there are days that I get those emails and go, I have to do this show. It's helping people. And that's the main reason we're doing it. So anyway, I had a great round. I feel great. Okay, so check out that video, Golf Smarter TV. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, I'm rambling because I'm really tired. I apologize. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we follow up last week's episode with Andy Thompson by going to one of his mentors, David Edel of Edel Putting, in an episode we call 100 Million Variables to Putter Fittings. And here's just part of what you're going to hear on Golf Smarter Mulligans number 60.
So when someone looks at a mallet, it elicits a parallel and perpendicular response in somebody. And we putter fit to 6 feet. So we shoot a laser to a golf ball. We have a person set up with their putter. We put a mirror on it. And then we can evaluate where they aim by the rebound angle. And we are not only evaluating to left aim or right aim, but vertical aim also, loft. So in the fitting process, we're able to change the geometry of the putter to elicit a different response in them, that they see it looking square and it is square. Because every putter someone aims, they think it looks square to them in relationship to their target. So if a person aims left, the fact of the matter is they see that putter looking right. So they've closed it down to make it look square to them. And we can show them that it is not, in fact, square.
That's from the archives of 400 plus hours of Golf Smarter, called Golf Smarter Mulligans, because you can't get the early shows anymore, and there's great instructional content that I want you to have. So we put out Golf Smarter on Tuesdays, we put out Golf Smarter Mulligans on Friday, and hopefully you'll listen to both and you become a better golfer, a smarter golfer, and you enjoy it so much more. Find Golf Smarter Mulligans wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Please reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. You can read more about the weekly content on LinkedIn from me, Fred Green. It's not a golf thing, not Golf Smarter, it's just Fred Green. It's my LinkedIn thing. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, use @GolfSmarter on social media, or just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.